Good afternoon, I bid to all judges, teachers, and my fellow sales delegates. I'm Shamira Shamid, and I will be the moderator for the Eco Green City Model Competition for SAEYLS 2023. On behalf of the organizing committee, we warmly welcome all of you here this afternoon to the Eco Green City Model Building Competition SAEYLS 2023. I can see that all of you here are anticipating to witness the amazing video presentations that will be presented later on. Before we proceed, we ask for your cooperation to kindly mute your mics until we cue you to speak. To the participant and judges, please turn on your cameras. Other than that, please do not spam the Zoom chat box unless you're facing any trouble. The tech support team will gladly assist you in case of any issues that may arise. Without further ado, allow me to introduce our distinguished judges for today's competition. First up, I would like to introduce our first judge, Mr. Zaman Ahmad, a Malaysian with 25 years working experience across 12 industries and currently in the renewable energy business for Petroscience Gentari. Next, we would like to introduce Mr. Andrew Sebastian, who is an accomplished naturalist environmentalist. He has been a certified professional nature and bird guide for 20 years. He is the president and CEO of Ecotourism and Conservation Society Malaysia, ECOMI, and is a subject matter expert for Tourism Malaysia for over 12 years. Mr. Andrew Sebastian, would you like to say anything, sir?
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm on my way down from Fraser's Hill on a wildlife tour and with birds. So
All right, thank you, Mr. Andrew Sebastian. Last but not least, we have Professor Tapan Kumarnath, who is an interdisciplinary research focusing on community participation in natural resources management. His current research project includes the urban community forests, well-being governance, community conserved areas, and agroforestry and sustainable development goals. Now, before we continue, Mr. Zaman Ahmad, would you like to say anything, sir?
Hi everyone. Sorry for coming in a bit late, but I want to say welcome everybody to this year's competition. The reason I'm very honored that you've invited me to come and join. I think this topic is very important for the future, and I just want to make sure that everybody has a lot of fun. And I'm looking forward to see all of your presentations and looking at your ideas, because at the end of the day, this is for your future. So be interested to see how you guys think, and how you can implement some of these ideas. So thank you very much, and best of luck to everybody. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Zaman. Now, for our viewers' information, the problem statement is sustainability in cities. I will read out the problem statement. Due to human activity, the Earth has grown 1.5 degrees hotter since the Industrial Revolution, which is a staggering amount in such a short period of time compared to pre-Industrial Revolution times. By choosing sustainable energy resources and committing to clean energy, humans can effectively slow down the acceleration of climate change. Hence, how can we implement energy sustainability in our city in order to create a safer living environment and reduce the usage of non-renewable energy resources? Tech support will be presenting the team's videos. Afterwards, the teams will be having a Q&A session with the judges that will last for 5 minutes. A gentle reminder to the participants that your videos will be sent to the judge to be evaluated. Now, for the moment we've all been waiting for, let's begin. Let us welcome our first school, SMK Amanuddin Baki, Kuala Lumpur. Your video will be presented now.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on when you view this video. My name is Muhammad Akif Haikal bin Khairul Amilin. Together with my partner Heshwin, we are representatives of Sekolah Menengah Kebangsaan Amanuddin Baki, Kuala Lumpur, and today we will be giving a presentation on our Green City model, which implements the concept of energy sustainability. Now, public lighting, which refers to street lamps, accounts for nearly 40% of the energy consumed in European cities. Now, this is obviously a big problem when considering energy sustainability, which is why we have come up with the idea of smart public lighting. Smart public lighting refers to using LED light bulbs in place of old incandescent and fluorescent light bulbs to improve energy efficiency. This is due to LED bulbs only outputting light energy instead of heat and light energy, similar to of incandescent and fluorescent light bulbs, which improves its energy efficiency and also increases its lifespan and longevity. We can also implement sensors in the street lamps to brighten when detecting movement, and it is also hooked up to schedules to dim and brighten the lights when needed to conserve energy. The payback on the initial invested capital is very short, ranging from 4 to 8 years to pay the initial investment. And this is our implementation of the smart public lighting street lamps in our 3D city model. I will now pass it on to my partner Heshwin to continue the slides.
Moving on onto our second point of the slide, compact development. Compact development allows for the population to improve energy efficiency by living in multifamily houses and use efficient energy supply systems. Our implementation on this is connected housing, such as apartments, condos, terrace housings, which use more modern features, which are more energy efficient. Using compact development, we implement a center at the middle of the housing for everyday services to reduce energy usage from everyday travel. Higher population and compact development encourages walking to a destination, thus reducing energy usage from cars, as stated in the point above. If we take a look on here, on our implementation of the compact development onto the 3D city model, moving on onto our last point, solar panel field. Let me start this off by saying solar energy is one of the most cost-efficient renewable energy sources next to the wind. My explanation to this is solar panel farms converts the sun's energy into electrical energy and makes use of the greatest, most sustainable resource on the planet, sunlight. As long as the sun continues to shine, we will always be able to reap the benefits by generating clean green energy. With solar panels, we can reduce greenhouse gas emissions and mitigate climate change. And this is our implementation of the solar panel field on the 3D city model. Now, I'll pass it on now to my partner Akif.
In summary, there are 5 core elements that make up our green city model, that being smart street lamps, which are fitted with motion sensors and LED light bulbs to improve energy efficiency, residential buildings, which are built according to the concept of compact development to allow for more efficient energy systems, a solar panel field, which supplies the entire city with clean and sustainable energy, a commodity center built in the middle of the residential buildings to provide everyday services and convenient items, and last but not least, a railway station which allows for easy access in and out of the city whilst also being a more energy efficient system compared to motor cars. That will be all from us for now. Thank you for lending us your ear. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you so much to SMK Aminuddin Baki. That was such an amazing presentation to kickstart our session. Now, before I move on, I would like to remind the participants to kindly turn on your cameras as tech support will be spotlighting you. Thank you. Now, on to the Q&A session. We'll begin with our first judge, Mr. Zaman Ahmad.
Okay, Aminuddin Baki, thanks for your presentation. So can you talk, my first question is about the concept of, that compact space. Why did you design it that, there was a central area then with housing around and then the railway on one side? What was the thinking behind that?
You can hear me, right? Is my voice clear?
Yeah.
All right. So basically the idea behind compact development and building cities in basically a grid-like concept is that a more compact development, it provides, sorry, I'm kind of nervous, but basically it provides, it's more efficient when it comes to, it's more efficient when it comes to providing energy because it's, how do I explain this? When it's hooked up to a grid, it's more consistent and it's easier to set up, and it's also like, sorry.
Sorry. Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm not gonna bite. I'm not
not really good at live Q&A.
So okay. So you're saying here that obviously something that is close by, then you probably have to what? Are you thinking that you have to travel less? Amongst the buildings, is that what you're thinking?
Yes. Another point that comes in with compact development is that our city that we designed is actually a walkable city, meaning that no motor cars will be in use. And with the exclusion, by removing motor cars, we also remove gas stations, which also account for quite a large percentage of energy consumption in cities.
Okay, got it. Okay. Then my second question would be, when it comes to solar panels in general, was there anything else that you learned about using solar panels? Because the sun only shines a few hours a day. Did you see any reference to some designs, or how is it used? Talk to me about what you saw.
Could you reframe the question? Is it like, are you asking if there's a better design for the solar panels, or like?
Yes. Is there a particular design with the solar panel, and are there any challenges behind it? So talk to me a little bit about what you saw when you were looking at your design.
Okay, so I'm sorry, but in our 3D model, it might not have been that obvious, but the solar panels are actually hooked up to like some sort of motor to be able to turn wherever the sun is pointed,
right?
To be able to maximize its efficiency. And as for backup power, there will be backup generators in the city, of course, which is basically a given for any city.
Okay, so it's a good point that you brought up there. When you look at a solar farm these days, they're going to have motors to make sure that they track the sun, so that you maximize the number of hours that you get through it. Okay, I think those are my two questions, and well done, and thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right, thank you to Mr. Zaman, and thank you to SMK Aminuddin Baki. That presentation was very insightful. Now, I'm sure everyone enjoyed their video. Next up, we have SMK Kidurong Sarawak. Your video will be presented now. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Arvin Imban.
And my name is George Eaton.
And we are the team from SMK Kidurong.
And we are here to present to you our Kids Eco City.
Geographically, our city is located in Sarawak and has a population of 10,000 citizens. Therefore, our idea to strengthen the success of our key city is through Green City. We may wonder, what is a green city? A green city is a city that prioritizes the preservation of natural world alongside the economy and social. It is very favorable to our city because it helps improving our environment, reduce air pollution, dampen noise, and provide healthy evidence to each citizen. For example, our building here is strong with community gardens so that the ambient temperature can be moderated. Plus, our citizens can spend their leisure time in producing and growing food resources with the community garden. Apart from the effects, all our city public transportation consists of electric vehicle because electric vehicle does not produce gas carbon emission when driving. Because we aim for low carbon emission, we do not build any gas station here so that our citizens will obliged to ride clean energy transportation to arrive into another destination.
So then we have our biomass factory. Now the organic waste from our residential area and also our urban hydro plant will then be bought here by our eco-collector vehicles. And it will then be put into the incinerator and will then produce very high pressure gas. When the very high pressure gas hit the turbine will then rotate very fast, thus producing electricity for a whole neighborhood, making it very sustainable.
First and foremost, among the ideas we have implemented in our key city are solar panels and windmill. Because our city environment are very sunny, abundant with wind and located near the sea, our solar panels and windmill are very suitable to be established in our city. And so I will talk about solar panel first, following with windmill to be organized. Basically, solar panel is an electronic device that converts sunlight into electricity by using photovoltaic cells. Photovoltaic cells are made of material that generate electrons when exposed to the light. The generated electron will flow through a circuit and produce electricity which can be used to power various devices such as water heater, light bulb, and fridge. Other than that, solar panels are very efficient and affordable. It also does not produce greenhouse gas emission or any waste during operation. As a result, use of solar panel in a large scale in our city are very beneficial and help in reducing our residential electric bill. Secondly, windmill is a building that transforms wind energy into electricity. We may wonder how does it operate. For example, the wind will blow past the turbine and causing the propeller blade to rotate. The kinetic energy from the wind is converted into mechanical power to spin the gearbox flowing with the generator to produce electricity. Other free fossil energy, solar and wind energy are diminished and vulnerable consumptions within our mind. We can reduce our reliance on non-renewable energy such as natural gases and coal. Hence, we can develop our economy and infrastructure in a healthy environment.
So next up we have our brand new urban hydro plant. Now the wastewater from our residential area will then be collected and treated right over here. And then it will be collected in a water collection center where it will then flow all the way to Tower A. Now at Tower A, we will be using a principle of overflowing. Overflowing principle means that when the water reaches a certain level, which is somewhere over here, it will have no choice but to move all the way to Tower B. And when it reaches Tower B, it will then flow all the way to our brand new water booster pump. A water booster pump fastens the flow speed of water using high speed of air. As you can see, we have these blades over here, or so I call fans. They will create a very high speed of air that will then fasten the flow of water. And by the time my water is in the main tunnel, it will then flow all the way down and it will then clash through the turbine, thus producing electricity. This is fully automated and it is enough to sustain our whole city needs for electricity.
Alright, thank you so much for the excellent video, SMK Kidurong. Now I pass the mic to Mr. Andrew Sebastian to start off the Q&A session.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Firstly, my congratulations. I had to actually do a lot of research, having listened into the video. My first question, of course, if given a choice, which would be your best, or I think for your which would you choose if you only given a choice of two, solar or biomass?
Okay. If we were given biomass or solar, I think biomass is much more better. This is because biomass, it doesn't produce those dangerous gas. It means that we have less risk of pollution in our city. And solar panels, however, on the other hand, they need to be maintained. They need to have maintenance once every few years, and it's going to take up a lot of cost. Furthermore, we don't have the sun to shine on us 24 hours a day to produce electricity. So I think biomass is the most sustainable way here, because as long as we have residents, we will always have the ingredients to make that energy. Okay, thank you very much.
As a follow-up question, did you also, when you did your research, did you also find out how much of waste is produced by each household, and if people are going to start being careful and being more managing their waste a lot more, where would your materials for your biomass come from?
Biomass materials, we want to use something like food waste, which we know is a lot. We have stated in the video that we have around 10,000 citizens. And let's say that a family has around 2 or 3% on average, and one person will eat around like 3 times a day. So I think in one day we will have, we will collect like a lot of food waste, and by far we will also generate the amount of electricity by burning it in the incinerator. Thank you.
Thank you. Good job, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you to Mr. Andrew and SMK Kidurong. I loved your video. Now, we will take a short 5-minute break before we proceed with our next team. All participants and judges, you may turn off your cameras during the break. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. All participants and judges, please turn on your cameras. We will be moving on to the next school. Now, please put your hands together for SMK P3 Aman Selangor. The stage is yours.
Hello, my name is Tulasi.
Hi, I'm Chitralika. Greetings from Malaysia. We are from SMK P3 Aman.
With rapid urbanization, cities are facing environmental challenges, including pollution and energy consumption. Current urban designs often prioritize economic development over environmental sustainability, leading to a rise in greenhouse gas emissions, air pollution, and other environmental issues. There is a need for innovative urban planning that promotes energy sustainability and reduces pollution while still providing a high quality of life for city residents. How can we develop a sustainable urban environment that balances economic development with environmental protection and promote the health and well-being of its residents?
We have proposed a solution called EcoCity that aims to promote energy sustainability and reduce pollution while maintaining a high quality of life for city residents. The EcoCity solution involves incorporating renewable energy sources, smart road systems, and natural elements such as trees and green spaces in urban planning and development. The development of a 3D model of an EcoCity can encourage urban planners and developers to incorporate these sustainable practices in their designs.
One of the key features of our EcoCity is its smart road system. What are smart road systems? The smart road is designed to reduce carbon emissions by using solar panels to generate electricity for street light and charging stations for electric vehicles. Additionally, the road is made from plastic. These used plastic are compressed to make a road that can withstand a high pressure, charge up cars, not produce harmful gas, and not melt in hot weather. Smart roads are also known as electrified roads that can automatically charge any electrical vehicle that runs over it.
The people in the city need transportation modes to move around the city. Using public transportation is an important way to reduce the number of cars on the road. It is also more affordable than owning a car, more convenient, and reduces traffic congestion. This is why the car price in our city is very expensive. This is to encourage more people to use our electric-powered public transportations. By encouraging more people to use public transportation, we can improve air quality, reduce greenhouse gas emissions, make the journey safer and more enjoyable, and create more efficient and convenient transportation options for everyone.
Another important feature of our EcoCity is its extensive tree and park system. The city is filled with trees, which help to absorb carbon dioxide and provide shade to reduce the urban heat island effect. Additionally, the city has many parks and green spaces, which provide a natural oasis for residents to relax and enjoy nature. Deforestation is strictly banned by the authorities of the city to prevent the extinction of flora and fauna and reduce pollution while promoting a healthy air. The fertilizers of our plants are processed human or and animal waste.
The most important feature of all is implementing the recycling system. A recycling system is a process designed to collect, sort, and process the waste materials with the goal of turning them into new products or raw materials. First and foremost is the collection. Recycling starts with the collection of waste materials such as paper, plastic, glass, and metal. Next is sorting. Once the waste materials are collected, they need to be sorted by material type. After that is processing. The waste materials are processed to prepare them for recycling. Last but not least, it's manufacturing. Finally, the recycled materials are used to create new products. For example, recycled paper can be used to make new paper products, while recycled plastics can be used to make new plastic products. This system is implemented everywhere in the city, from the home to the public areas. By working together to implement effective recycling programs, we can reduce our impact on the environment and create a better future for generations to come.
We are talking about the features in our eco-city, and the most talked about component are the electricity. But how do we even get the electricity from? We get the electricity from solar power, hydroelectricity, and wind power. Solar power is a renewable and sustainable form of energy that harnesses the energy from the sun to generate electricity. Solar power is cost effective, reduces greenhouse gas emissions, and is easy to use. Solar power reduces environmental impact and saves money on energy costs.
Hydroelectricity is a form of renewable energy that harnesses the power of moving water to generate electricity. This process is achieved by using water turbines to convert the kinetic energy of falling water into mechanical energy, which is then transformed into electrical energy by generators. Hydroelectricity is considered to be a clean and renewable form of energy for a number of reasons, including no fuel required, low operating costs, long lifespan, can be used for multiple purpose and reliable.
The windy conditions around the central oasis in our 3D city provide a valuable opportunity for utilizing renewable energy sources, including wind energy. As the wind rotates, the turbine blades, they will generate electricity that can be used to power the city's home, business areas, and public spaces. By using wind energy, we can move closer to achieving our goal of a sustainable and environmentally friendly city.
Our 3D eco-city will also feature a hydroponic system for growing fruits and vegetables. Unlike traditional agriculture, hydroponics doesn't rely on soil and instead uses a nutrient-rich water solution to grow plants. This system is pesticide-free and doesn't use harmful chemicals. The plants are grown in a controlled environment, which allows for greater yield and productivity, and they are more densely spaced together compared to traditional farming methods. By using a hydroponic system, we can create a sustainable and healthy source of food for our city's residents.
Overall, these key criteria produce an eco-friendly city. It is very important to care for our Mother Nature so that she can care for us in return. We hope you really enjoyed our presentation and thank you so much for having us here.
Wow, that was such a great presentation, SMKP Sri Aman. Now, before we move on to the questions by Professor Tapan, does Mr. Zaman and Mr. Andrew, would you like to say anything?
Hi, this is Aman here. I'm just saying I'm just really happy to see the content so far, the amount of work that's gone into the videos and also the thinking behind it. So keep it up, everyone. Impressive what I've seen so far. Thank you.
Thank you.
Likewise, I think exceptional. The background, the background information, and the illustrations are all excellent. Good job. Good job.
All right, thank you. Now we will be moving on to the Q&A session. Question 1. It is important to know drawbacks and benefits of a plan in order to ensure it's viable. Please elaborate upon the drawbacks and the benefits of the ideas for your eco-green city model.
I think one of the, can you hear me? Am I clear? Okay, I think one of the drawbacks of our eco-city green model is its transportation because I think people now in Malaysia or in other countries, they are used to use their own transport more than public transport. So our city, we are promoting public transport because it is much more safer and it is much more eco-friendly compared to using personal vehicles. And I think the benefit of using public vehicles is that it is much more cheaper because you don't have to care about the petrol values and something. And then, yeah, that's it.
All right, thank you. That was such a great response. Moving on. Could you further illustrate the status of the challenges faced when researching and making your model?
I think the challenges that we faced while making the model is like making the model itself to be more realistic, because I think we tried a lot of apps and websites and it did not give us a very good result. So we spent quite a lot of time to like do the model. And eco-friendly wise, I think incorporating our criteria into the model was the hard part, because we had to think each and every thing of it and then like cooperate it perfectly into our model.
All right, that is such an excellent response. Moving on, lastly. What kind of policies would you propose to the government to be implemented to make your eco-green city into a reality? What would the implications of these policies be?
We can actually make it, we can actually start small to actually then expand it to the busier cities.
All right, thank you so much to SMK P3 Aman. Moving on, the next team will be Sekolah Menengah Islam IQKL Kuala Lumpur. Your video will be played now.
The widespread use of fossil fuel combustion as a method of energy production is simply not sustainable in the long run, as it is one of the biggest contributors to the country's greenhouse gas emissions, which also contributes to global warming. Are there any ways to overcome the problem? Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Shakir Suli. And I'm Hafi Al-Fazeh. We are from Sekolah Menengah Islam IQKL. By looking at our green city, we have found a solution to overcome the problem that we have stated. Upon deliberation, we designed our green city upon three overarching principles, which are energy, livability, and sustainability. Everything starts from a source of energy. Since Malaysia is blessed with more than 10 hours of sunlight, solar power offers the best potential. As the technology and its maintenance costs are getting cheaper, our green city that is powered by solar can be financially feasible. Solar panels will be installed on rooftops of residential, commercial, and government properties, as well as on lakes nearby. Although solar power is the cheapest source of electricity currently, it might take too much of open space to create the same kilowatt power when compared to fossil fuel. Therefore, our green city must be as efficient as possible without compromising the livability of the residents. There will also be an installation of a T-shaped wind turbine for wind power that can be operated even with the slightest breeze around the city. Oh, great work! First, our green city will be located on highland to minimize the need of using air conditioners. Other than reducing energy consumption, the residents will enjoy the good weather too. Just see how bad the traffic is at Cameron Highland on weekends or even on school holidays. This will make the resident less resistant to move to our green city. Second, the size of our green city is compact enough to minimize the use of personal transportation like cars or motorcycles. Some of the buildings will be spacious for the family on the upper floors and office for the poor on the lower levels. And the other buildings have all the facilities required, such as hospitals, schools, municipal council, banks, shops, and eateries within practical walking distance from their home. Okay. Last but not least, each space will be utilizing the natural light as much as possible to reduce the need for artificial light. There will be ceiling height windows to allow maximum natural light but tinted proportionately to block UV. This design is not only able to reduce the energy consumption of the building, but also allow the occupants to get vitamin D from the sunlight. Since the source of electricity and residents' livability have already been taken care of, let us move to the next principle in our green city, which is sustainability. Top of the list is about reducing waste. Incentives in terms of product discounts will be rewarded to encourage residents to use their own plastic bags, use their own refill bottle, or even their own coffee mugs. Whenever individual packaging is unavoidable, a program is in place to encourage recycling programs, such as every recyclable materials like plastics, paper, will be converted into a token that can be used to redeem any price that they have in mind. Finally, reuse. There is a policy designed to encourage residents to use rainwater harvesting systems. For example, houses or offices with that system qualify to a certain amount of tax breaks. Ladies and gentlemen, in a nutshell, sustainability is not the only important matter for building a green city. Citizens' experience is also crucial. If it is inconvenient to live, people will most likely to move out from there, which could lead the city to go abandoned. Three of the principles above have been proven to be major for building a new city to help improve the environment as well as improving human lifestyle. This is only a phase 1 for our green city. We will further be scaling up our green city in phase 2 by accommodating factories and heavy industries that require more power using the hydropower plants.
Change.
Thank you so much to Sekolah Menengah Islam IQKL. That was such an excellent video. Now we will hear from Mr. Zaman Ahmad.
Okay, so let's talk about the concept behind the people living in your city. What do you think that the citizens are going to be experiencing, and how are they going to contribute to a greener environment? Sorry, I can't hear. Is it on mute?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Would you please I can't understand the question. So what you mean is that how the residents will experience inside the green city with all the
the technology and all
with all the technology that we're providing. Okay.
Yes, that's right.
I think the resident will be able to improve their lifestyle because they will get the vitamin D from the window. Because nowadays people are rarely going outside, so this will be beneficial for people who working inside the house, especially for office worker. And since that they won't be going out as much, so if they while working they were able to still at least get a bit of vitamin D that could maybe give a benefit for them. And as for the minimize the need of personal transportation, is that what I mean is that the people won't be needing to need to ride the public transportation or even use their personal transportation as much, because all the location is only in walking is within practical walking distance. So maybe people who can't afford a car, or maybe people who don't want to spend money as much, they could just walk.
Okay, I like your answer on vitamin D, because I think that's a very serious problem these days. Everybody's staying indoors. when I was young, at your age, at 4:30 or 5 o'clock, I'd be outside playing, and I don't come in until Maghrib time. So that's I think that's a big difference today, right? So that's number one. I have one last question, and it's really just about transportation in the future as well. In this in your concept, does it mean that later on people don't need to travel very much because work-wise you can work remotely, and also then if you have to go out and buy your groceries and shopping, everything will be close by? Talk to me a little bit about your thinking behind that.
I think that maybe it could be achieved that sort of accomplishment, which is that people won't be needing to go outside as much, and many people were able to work inside the house. So with that, the energy consumption for the since nowadays we have a lot of electrical cars, right? So we could reduce the use of we could use the we could reduce the use of electricity to recharge the car. So with that energy, with that sort of amount of electrical energy, we could use it for something else, maybe like powering a house or giving electricity for people in such rural area, so that everyone will have accessibility to electricity.
Okay, all right, will do. Thank you very much, and well done on your presentation. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Zaman and Sekolah Menengah Islam IQKL. We will now take a short 5-minute break before we proceed with our next team. Our participants and judges, you may turn off your cameras during the break. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. All participants and judges, please turn on your cameras. Without further ado, let's move on to the next team from SMK Puchong Utama 1, Selangor. Your video will be presented now.
Good day to the honorable judges, fellow friends and teachers. I'm Madhusha, a 17-year-old from SMK Puchong Utama 1.
Greetings everyone, my name is Nilesh and I'm a 17-year-old from SMK Puchong Utama 1. To begin, we selected solar power as our sustainable energy element since it is commonly used and turned out to be exceptionally reliable. Next, we have biowaste energy that can reduce the city's waste and environmental pollution by using municipal waste to generate power. Furthermore, it can improve the city's air quality since biowaste generators can help reduce unpleasant odors by processing the waste in a closed system. We also have wind power, which was selected since it is cost-effective and has low maintenance fees. Besides that, the city also has algae generators that generate electricity, purify used water, and reduce carbon footprint. Lastly, we use micro hydropower, which helps generate electricity from the river surrounding our city. The river also acts as an alternative means of transport and as a tourist spot.
Jumping into how we implemented these elements into our city, firstly, at the outer layer of our city, we have a river that generates hydro energy to power the city's smart street light. Moving on, every building in our city, including homes, offices, and malls, has been 3D printed by using processed waste such as recycled plastic and wasted food. We also have installed solar panels to power the usage of each building. Moreover, each building uses algae generators to purify and reuse wastewater, reducing outsourced water usage and generates clean energy simultaneously. We also have a massive park in our city's center with a vertical farm powered by a wind turbine. The farm has livestock and hydroponic plantations, which act as the primary source of food. There are small spaces around the park which are used to collect rainwater for the farm's usage. Besides that, we also have energy-producing bikes that allows people to generate electricity and exercise at the same time. Other than that, our roads have smart streetlights that uses motion sensors which only turns on when people pass by them to reduce electric consumption. Electric cars and solar-powered buses are used in our city as the main transportation, which can help reduce air pollution. There are also solar sidewalks that generate electricity and transmit it to the road, while vehicles can recharge themselves wirelessly on the go. It also acts as bike lanes and walking paths to encourage alternative modes of transportation. The smart usage screen shows the total energy used of each sector and the city to inform the citizens about the city's energy usage.
The first sector we are going to talk about is the housing sector, which has villas and condominiums. The housing sector has a park that helps improve the air quality and helps balance the ecosystem. The next one is the work center, which has an energy department. The energy department analyzes the city's energy consumption and uses advanced technology to monitor and regulate the flow of electricity, optimizing energy usage and minimizing waste. The office sector also has a green part for the employees to relax after work. Next, the entertainment sector, which includes the mall, stores, and the stadium. All the essential items are shipped to the homes via an underground delivery system from the warehouse centered in the city. In addition, there's a park with a biowaste generator which produces electricity by converting waste from the city. Then, we also have solar grids to store solar power for night usage and for emergencies. For public transportation, however, we have an underground metro system powered by wind turbines, allowing citizens to travel around the city faster. Moreover, there is a central bus station to recharge the solar buses, which also act as a waiting place for the citizens.
Did you know 80% of the world's energy consumption takes place within cities? 75% of carbon emissions are emitted from cities. Our city's mission is to reduce the city's energy consumption from 80% to 50%, as well as reduce carbon emissions from 75% to 35%. We achieve this goal by implementing various measures, including improving energy efficiency by using sustainable energy, encouraging sustainable transportation, implementing waste reduction, and greening the city. That's all from us. We are truly grateful for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you for your time and for also listening to our presentation.
Wow, that was such a wonderful video. I'm sure everyone watching thoroughly enjoyed it. Before we move on with Professor Tapan's questions, do you have any question, Mr. Zaman?
Hi, impressive layout. I just want to ask about what was your thinking behind separating it into all the four corners and making sure that, you know, residential and power and everything else is separated. Talk to me a little bit about the thinking behind those concepts.
Hello, can you hear me? So, I hope so. So, we separated the industries in our city so that the citizens in the city could easily navigate through them and that they don't have to use transportations to navigate. They can just walk around or cycle around the city to go to certain places.
Okay, noted. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now we're going to be moving on to the questions prepared by Professor Tapan. Question 1. Could you further illustrate the status of the challenges faced when making your model?
We had quite a hard time just around the time we had. So we planned to do this in a week, and then 1 week became 1 week and a half due to finding models, trying to build the models itself, some errors we find doing errors rendering. So mainly it was just the challenges we had was just errors and finding time.
All right, thank you for the response. Moving on. What kind of policies would you propose to the government to be implemented to make your eco-green city into a reality? What would the implications of these policies be?
One of the policies that we would propose our government to use is start using algae generators, since they are very more reliable than the traditional sewage treatment, and this implication could definitely reduce carbon emissions in the city as well as hasten the time we take to clean wastewater.
All right, that was such a great response. Lastly, every idea has its drawbacks and benefits. In great detail, please illustrate the pros and cons of our eco-green city model.
Okay, so for the pros, our city maximizes in reducing carbon emissions. So our city definitely can reduce carbon emissions as well as energy usage. our energy resources are more reliable than traditional cities. So I would say that as our pros. And for the cons, I would say it's a bit dense. It's a bit too much for a city. And I think our city just looks decent compared to other urban cities out there.
All right, thank you so much for the response. Thank you, SNK Puchongwan Utama. Now, please welcome the next team from SNK Banda Utama Damansara 3, Selangor.
Okay, starting.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Selamat sejahtera.
And a good day, everyone. I am Umar Razi.
And I'm Ilhan Hadif.
And we are from SMK Banda Utama Damansara 3 or Banda Utama Damansara 3 High School. And today, we are going to be presenting our TD Eco Model.
So without further ado, let's get started.
Alright, so this is our slide. You may see a brief bird's eye view shot of our city. We will be showing more of that in a moment. But before that, we need to explain the concepts, philosophy, and approach that we use prior to make our actual idea of what a green city is. So, first off, we have our concept. So, in this concept, we define what a green city is, the general idea and conceptualization. So to us, a green city, or eco-city, or sustainable city is a city designed with consideration for social, economic, environmental impact, commonly referred to as the triple bottom line, and resilient habitat for existing populations, without compromising the ability of future generations to experience the same. In the context of our current nations, which is Malaysia, situation and city design, a green city should encompass the use of affordable and clean energy, the plantation of more green plants, and enhancement of public transportation systems. Moving on to philosophy and approach, we believe our philosophy is to increase the consistency and frequency of green elements in current and future cities and townships. The future planning of cities should take the UN Sustainable Development Goals, or SDG for short, into account. I won't go into full depth of what the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals are, as that is a whole new topic to talk about, but I'll briefly explain number 7, number 11, and number 13 further on. Our actual approach consists of 4 approaches, which are: number 1, more green plants, especially in densely populated city areas. Number 2, the frequent use of affordable and clean energy for commercial and household properties. Number 3, public transportation. Number 4, architecture of buildings which promotes green elements. With all that out of the way, this is a full view of what our green city concept looks like. We decided to call this model Kota Eco, as you can already probably tell. So yeah, we have applied all the 4 approaches that we mentioned in our previous slide. The most significant and noticeable approach is the clean energy approach, noticeable on almost all buildings and even on street lamps, if you look closely. Of course, aside that, you may be able to see a lot of greenery. As for public transport, we have a standard mass rapid transit system, or MRT, to emphasize the use of public transportation, and even a novel concept for a lot of Southeast Asian nations, I believe, or we believe, which are trams, if you look closely. We will be explaining this in further depth further on. Our first approach was, number 1, more green plants. The usage of green plants, trees, and small bushes parallel to roads can help increase the rate of carbon dioxide absorption, thus able to increase oxygen content in the immediate surrounding. So this approach that we did here fulfills SDG number 13, which is climate action.
This can also help reduce average city temperature by using photosynthesis as an endothermic reaction. This element will fulfill SDG 13. Moving on onto our next point, number 2, clean energy. The use of solar energy via solar panels can be applied to infrastructure. This element will fulfill SDG 7. And onto our third point, public transport. The use of trams or streetcars can serve to be an additional and novel yet effective means of public transport for more urban areas in Malaysia and in SEA, Southeast Asia. This will help reduce the content of greenhouse gases by reducing traffic, and this will fulfill SDG 11 and 13. This will help SDG 13 to be fulfilled, as trams, which is a type of public transport, can be helped to promote the use of public transport among the people. Henceforth, will reduce the number of combustion engine powered vehicles, which will reduce the release of greenhouse gases.
To further elaborate on our point, which was clean energy, which was point number 2, solar panels can be installed on commercial, government buildings, and household properties. This point here is in response to the argument that cities lack sufficient space for the installation of solar panels. The reason for this is that a lot of people state that cities, they don't have enough space, as most of the space is occupied by buildings. So rather, instead of actually applying the solar panels to vacant space, we can apply them on top of actual buildings themselves. This will help each building reduce their consumption of electrical energy. Moving on to point number 4, or our approach number 4, which is green architecture. Future building projects should incorporate green elements, primarily at least, number 1, energy efficiency, which is green energy. Number 2, indoor air quality. Number 3, environmentally preferable building materials. Number 4, smart growth and sustainable development. This will help fulfill SDG number 13. To further elaborate on green architecture, specifically the indoor air quality aspect, with the correct architectural design, air quality and ventilation can be regulated through natural means. Taking simple physics concepts such as Bernoulli's principle into account, whereby fluids or air travels faster in cross-sectional areas of smaller values, a simple fin-type design can be made and applied to buildings. As wind flows approaching the building and the fins, the air will travel faster when passing through the fins. This can be utilized to ensure good airflow in and out of the building, which will ensure good ventilation. This can also act as a natural cooling system for the building and to extent may provide a cooler and less humid space.
Moving on, aside the emphasis on green building design, cities should have small parks such as eco-parks or recreational areas. This does not only serve as city decoration, but can increase the plantation of trees and promote a healthy city lifestyle for those living in densely populated cities. And this will fulfill SDG 11 and SDG 13. You might be asking yourself, why do most of the buildings here do not look like the typical idea of what green building should be? Well, for us, we could have done that, but building a new green building would mean creating more cities, which we do not really need right now in Malaysia. What we really need is to improvise on the current buildings we do have now to make them more eco-friendly. So therefore, if we decided to build a completely new green city, where all the buildings have green designs, then there will be no green architecture solution for the current cities we have now. I think most of us have heard the phrase, prevention is better than the cure. And we believe this applies to this idea as well.
That is all from us. Although there are some improvements that we could have implemented, these are the key elements of what we think a green city should have.
We hope you found this video informative.
And thank you very much for watching.
That was such a splendid video. Thank you, SMK Bandar Utama Damansara 3. Let's hear from the judges. Mr. Zaman Ahmad, please kick off the Q&A session.
Okay, Umar and Ilhan, first, I love your Tengkolok. I haven't seen that in a long time, so that's number one.
Thank you, sir.
It's very interesting that you picked up on the UN SDGs. There are many, and I'm glad that you picked up on the 4. So when you chose those 4, what were you looking for specifically that then applied then to a green city?
Okay, all right. So to answer the question, the SDG, UN's SDG stands for Sustainable Development Goals. So this is something that I have heard from before from a lot of clubs. So the thing that really struck me was the keyword development goal, sustainable actually, the word, the S in SDG, sustainable. So I heard the word sustainable, one of the words that were quite frequent when you were searching for definition for eco model was sustainable. Another name for eco model is actually sustainable city. So when you heard of sustainable development goals, you should think of that, if this is something about development goals and being sustainable, surely there would be some elements in that SDG, in that little articles, UN SDG, that explain about sustainability, which we could apply into our ISO model. So we mentioned 3 SDGs, we have 11, 7, and I believe 13. So SDG number 7 was affordable and clean energy. So we looked at that and we saw what were the most affordable and clean energy that we could apply. So we found that it was primarily solar panels and wind energy. And we also saw climate action, which was number 13, SDG number 13, and that we talked about public transportation and more green plans. And we also had sustainable cities and communities, which kind of, comes from SDG number 13. So yeah, that's about it.
I'm going to share this point to all the participants. And first of all, I also have to recognize that there are participants also from Indonesia, Cambodia. Shamira, where else are they from? Which other countries? It's Indonesia, Cambodia.
Timor-Leste, Maldives, Myanmar, Cambodia.
Fantastic. First, I want to just congratulate everybody, for joining this. This is really international thing. The other point I want to make is that when all of you are presenting, make sure you hear the other people's presentations, because there's a lot of good points to pick up on, right?
Yeah.
So if some of you have never heard about the SDGs, here in Petronas, the oil company for Malaysia, we take the SDGs very, very seriously. And also in Tenaga Nasional, TNB as well, because you've got to have a big target or some policy, and it's very easy then to drive it down. So for all of you on the call here, we will always struggle to justify why are you doing something. But if you have something that big, like a UN target or a national target, it makes it a lot easier. Okay, so I like the fact you brought up SDGs. That's good. Everybody take note. My second question and my last question is probably going to be your comment around how do you, so the topic is about transition, right? Kuala Lumpur, when it comes to Jakarta, when it comes to, Phnom Penh and other ASEAN cities. You are not going to just change everything and then move everything overnight, right? So when you were thinking about, your design, what were you thinking about? How do you keep some of the old stuff and then mix it up with the new stuff? So like in Kuala Lumpur here, you're not going to kacau Dataran Merdeka. The Bangunan Sultan Abdul Samad is something you won't disturb, right? But next door to that, there's now going to be building 118, the second tallest building in the world, right?
Merdeka 118.
Merdeka 118, right? So, talk to, maybe share with us a bit about your thinking about why you would say you need to do a bit of a transition and not totally change everything overnight. Share with us a bit about your thinking on that topic.
Okay. All right. So, first of all, I want to apologize if you guys can hear anything in the background. We're at school right now, so
They're having a competition, so it's kind of noisy.
and
Right?
also for us, we couldn't hear a few points clearly because of this also, but hopefully we can answer. So the question was about how we should not transition, like one overnight. Is that the question? Yes, sir? Okay. So the reason for that is we believe that it's going to be backlash from the community. Like, not a lot of people would agree with applying solar panels to their houses. Like if you add a new policy to our constitution, in Malaysia it's called Lembaga Persekutuan, constitution in our case. If the government decides to suddenly apply solar panels overnight onto commercial buildings, I think a lot of people will complain that that is invasion of privacy. So that is something we can do in overnight. So we definitely shouldn't do it overnight. So I guess one of the reasons we believe that we shouldn't do it overnight is because of backlash. That's the first reason. The second reason is because if we do it overnight, then it will be a lot of rush. So I guess in a way this has to do with backlash. But it also has to do with it's being actually legal, because when you want to actually apply things overnight, you need to have policies, as far as I understand, DAFA policies. So policies are something, policies are actually things that you have to develop. You have to go through a lot of process, as far as I know. And if you want to just do it overnight, the process of developing policies, one of the processes of developing policies, and it will be campaigning the policies. You'll be spreading that, this policy has been added to our constitution. If you add a new policy saying, I can kill people, tomorrow everyone in our country can kill people, and then next day everyone kills people, but you didn't spread that information, then people will argue like, some people didn't know. Yeah, you didn't know that. Why? And then they'll be defenseless. Actually, no, I think about that. People is a bad example, but I think you get the idea, hopefully. So, overnight, you can't really do that because one, backlash, and policy is being illegal and not being illegal. So, yeah, that's what I believe.
Okay. So I'm glad you brought that up, which brings up another point. You can have the best intentions, but you'll see that there are many other things, including social, community, politics, and so on and so forth, right? So when all of you grow up to become my age and Mr. Sebastian's age as well, right? Make sure you think about separating this and do what's right. So and keep the earth clean. All right. Hey, well done. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
All right. Thank you to SMK Bandar Utama Damansara 3 and thank you, Mr. Zaman Ahmad. Now we will take a short 5-minute break before we proceed with our last team. All participants and judges, you may turn off your cameras during the break. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. All participants and judges, please turn on your cameras. Before we proceed, unfortunately, SMK Sri Hartamas is unable to make it today. Now, we will continue on to the next team from Sekolah Sultan Alam Shah. Your video will begin now.
Hey, Assalamualaikum and greetings to everyone. We are representing Sekolah Sultan Alam Shah. My name is Lucy Iqbal bin Shahril and this is my partner
Mikael Rafiq bin Shaiful. Iqbal, do fill me in on what the title of our presentation is for today.
So, the title for our representation today is Viable Vitality. So, Mikael, do you want to know what Viable Vitality is?
Do fill me in, Iqbal.
So, what is actually Viable Vitality? Viable Vitality is the name for our new latest invention to overcome environmental sustainability issues.
Now, let me give you guys a rundown on the deeper meaning behind viable vitality. Viable means capable of living, growing, and developing, while vitality, on the other hand, refers to the state of being lively, energetic, and robust. When these terms are combined, they suggest a sustainable and vibrant life.
To elaborate more on energy sustainability issues, I would like to categorize them into 3 issues. The first one would be climate change, second is pollution, and the third one is resource depletion. So, Mikael, would you like to elaborate more on these 3 issues that I just stated?
Of course, ladies and gentlemen, let's go. Now, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to present to you the problems and elaborate on the solutions that we have came up with. Now, for the first solution that we have came up with for resource depletion is sustainable agriculture practices. Now, farmers should start implementing cover crops, crop rotation, and soil enrichment in their farming. For the second solution that we have came up with is reducing our dependency on fossil fuels. Did you know that by switching to renewable energy, we are projected to save trillions of dollars each year? For the third solution that we have came up with is we should make new law policies and enforce them. In my opinion, the most crucial law enforcement that needs to be made is to end subsidies on fossil fuels. Taxpayers' money are better off spent in investing in renewable energy.
Alright guys, right now I'm going to tell you how can we overcome climate changes. First of all, we need to have a better forest management by implementing new policies to change the in-consumer behavior. Moreover, we need to shift to more sustainable diets. This is why farmers need to use nitrous-based fertilizers to help grow more crops to meet the demand of the customers. Lastly, we need to commit to fair financing and climate justice. Alright, this is why the countries with high carbon footprints should go and visit to learn from countries with low carbon footprints. By implementing the ideas, we can help to reduce global warming.
Moving on, ladies and gentlemen, I will be explaining the solutions that we have came up with for pollution. Number 1, implementing strict environmental regulations such as the Clean Act Air and the Environmental Quality Act of 1974. For the second solution is waste management. Now, we could also use waste segregation methods and decomposition of waste into compost as a good way to manage our waste. Number 3 is electric vehicles. Electric vehicles decreases CO2 emissions drastically, and we could also reuse and recycle the batteries.
On top of that, we have hydroelectric power plants. Hydroelectric power plants don't release pollutants into the air. They very frequently substitute the use of fossil fuels, thus reducing acid rain and smog. In addition to this, hydroelectric developments don't generate toxic byproducts. Moreover, we have nuclear power plants. By having nuclear power plants, the safety measures need to be maintained at all times to ensure surrounding environment safety. On top of that, nuclear power plants have zero carbon footprints as they do not release greenhouse gases.
All in all, Iqbal, I think it was a really nice experience working with you. What do you think about this whole journey?
I think I absolutely agree with you, Mika, because for me the whole journey was a fantastic experience for me to exposed to all the environmental sustainability issues. And I think we should encourage others to also start making a difference starting today.
Obviously, but I hope that this video and our presentation would really make a big help in educating the general public of this matter. Now, this reminds me of a quote I heard from a man named Martin Luther King Jr. And he said that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Now, this conveys the notion that injustice in one place undermines injustice everywhere else in the world, and I think that it's a really powerful message to people out there. So I think that would be all, and a big thank you to the audience for staying tuned, and that is all from Sekolah Sultan Alam Shah. Thank you everyone. Bye bye.
That was such a splendid video. Thank you, Sekolah Sultan Alam Shah. Now, let's move on to the Q&A session. Firstly, in order to implement sustainable agriculture practices, are new government policies needed for this? What are the effects of these policies in small-scale and large-scale farmers?
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good evening to everyone. So I hope you all can hear me clearly. So to answer the question, new government policies are needed. For example, let's say for farmers in agriculture, farmers tend to use a lot of traditional ways of farming, and new modern practices show to produce more yield, and they leave less of an impact on the environment, such as they could implement crop rotation, or they could implement nitrous-based fertilizers, and that would help the environment a lot. Does that answer the question?
All right, yes, thank you.
Okay.
Moving on. You have mentioned that new policies are needed to reduce reliance on fossil fuels. Are current policies not enough?
To answer that question, in my opinion, personally, I think that reliance on fossil fuels do not have enough policies on them. For example, subsidies used on fossil fuels each year are getting lesser, which is a good thing, but they should drastically remove the subsidies, because the money of taxpayers should be better off spent on investing in renewable energy instead of wasting money on fossil fuels. Yeah.
All right, that was a great response. Lastly, in your presentation, you have proposed the idea of using nuclear power plant. Why has this idea not been implemented yet, and how would this idea be implemented?
Okay, so I think it's a great question. So to answer, this is due to the fact that to have a nuclear reactor in your city, a power plant, you would need a lot of nuclear engineers. And nuclear engineers in just in general, all around the world, it's very hard to specialize in nuclear engineering. And the pay for these engineers are very high. And to maintain a nuclear power plant is not easy. As you know, a power plant in Chernobyl, which was pretty recent as well, and that went very wrong. So that is the effect when you do not undergo proper procedures and not enough maintenance and specialized forces on the plant. So yeah, that's why.
All right, thank you so much, Sekolah Sultan Alam Shah. Now, all the videos that have been shown today have included many brilliant, creative, and effective solutions to our problem statement. We all have definitely learned something new throughout this session. I hope each and every one of us can take away from this meaningful session and do our part in helping environment, no matter how big or small. I'm sure everyone put in a lot of hard work for this, and we sincerely like to thank the sales committee, the competition segment, the tech support, wonderful judges, and our distinguished viewers watching on YouTube, and most importantly, the participants of this competition for making this session a success. Now, with that, we have come to an end of today's agenda. I hope all viewers and participants have enjoyed their time throughout this competition. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to apologize if we have made any mistakes throughout this session. I hope to see you all again during the closing ceremony, where we will announce the winner of this competition. Have a pleasant day ahead. To all participants and judges, please wait until the live has ended for a quick photo session.